This is a word for people who have found themselves in a place or situation, or just in life in general. They found themselves in a place where they can no longer grow, or it feels like they've reached a cap in a certain aspect of their lives or their lives as a whole. This could be in a relationship, in a marriage, in a certain neighborhood, at a certain job, just a place where you feel like nothing is happening, a place that you once grew, but now you feel dead in. If you have found yourself minutes away from your breakthrough, this word is for you. So yeah, let's get into this dream. And I'm reading this out of a journal, so bear with me. I was at the hospital in labor and delivery. The doctor said he was going to induce me with Pitocin, and if that didn't work, I'd have to have a C-section. I remember the doctor saying I was 37 weeks and that the baby was too big, no longer having any room to grow. Whew, I'm just in awe every time in the way that God chooses to speak. So yes, I'm pregnant in the dream. I just kind of like woke up on a hospital table, and I could sense that I was in labor and delivery, but I didn't understand why fully. It just felt like I did not know that I was pregnant, and I was surprised that I was as far along as I was. And so now I went from not even knowing that I was pregnant to feet up in the stirrups, ready to give birth, because this doctor is saying, hey, we need to get this baby out, because if not, some serious consequences could come. So it says, I lay back on the bed crying because I was so afraid to have a C-section, and I started praying. I got the sense that the baby would and did come out on its own. So God is saying that thing that you thought, because again, I feel like that this word and a lot of my videos that I make are for people who have been waiting for a long time, maybe even a lifetime. But maybe you felt like you heard all these people prophesying to you and God speaking to you that this was going to happen and he was going to do that. But you waited for so long that you kind of just got stuck in the wait. Like you kind of forgot what you were waiting on. Like you didn't have as much anticipation as you thought that you did or would have. Just in a place that you kind of felt stuck. You kind of felt like there was no action, and then all of a sudden God has given that thing life, and it's just like catching you by surprise. And so as far as the doctor telling me that he was going to have to induce me out of fear that if he doesn't, it could cause harm to me and the baby, God is saying that this baby has to come out. What God promised you, it has to happen. Like, it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. God is going to do whatever he has to do in order for it to come about. He's going to put you in any circumstance, any situation needed. It don't matter if you cry. It don't matter if you scream. He's going to do what he has to do in order to get the outcome that he desires. Babies are a blessing. They're a joy. When you find out that a friend or a family member is having a baby, you're excited. You know, they smell good. They're warm. They're so cute and cuddly. You know, so God is saying, I want this thing. I'm ready to see the manifestation of what I spoke, what I've already given life to with my tongue alone. What God said is not a joke. If God spoke anything to you, I don't care what it is. I don't care how hard it is to believe. It's for you, and it's coming to pass. And so God is saying, even right now, that maybe some of you have made, or let's not even say you, some of us have made mistakes, especially as you draw near to the ending of this pregnancy, the ending of this delivery. You've made mistakes. You did some things that you knew you weren't supposed to do, and you just feel a lot of travailing, I guess you could say, in a way. You feel a lot of shaking, you feel a lot of movement, and you can't really understand from in what direction. God knows exactly at what time to draw that baby out. And this even goes back to the birthing video that I did. God knows God knows the exact moment to call that baby forth. He's not going to allow anything to taint, spoil, or ruin this blessing. Nobody, not even you, and definitely not the hands of the enemy. God was using that doctor to represent him and as to say, hey, I have to pull this out of you. Don't think that it's not happening. Oh, it's happening, and it's happening fast, because I cannot allow anything to cause death to what I spoke. If God spoke it, it has to come to pass, and it can't come back void. So I flipped the page, and the first sentence is, God said the other day, I'm calling you out. So listen, God is speaking. Listen, God is saying, hey, I'm calling you out. Don't sleep. Don't sleep. Don't get too comfortable in there. Don't get too comfortable in the waiting season. Don't get too comfortable in the resting season, because I'm calling you out. There's no more room to grow where you are. There's no more growing to be done in this season. We are in a new season within an old season. We are in Kairos time. This is a Kairos season. If you are a true follower of Christ, if you are a true servant of God, this is a Kairos season. God's time is aligning with the time of man. This is for a select few of people. But if you are feeling as if you just can't take it, you can't stand it, you feel like you're about to pull your hair out, you are just so fed up and frustrated, you feeling like you cannot breathe, listen, God is saying that is the tossing and turning. That is the pulling. That's the moaning and groaning of labor pain. You are not in distress, you are in delivery. God has to intervene so that things don't become misaligned. God is the doctor. The promise is the baby. He sees the limitations. He sees the restrictions. He's coming to set you free. He's saying liberation is here. He is saying vindication is here. It's a time to rebuild, not destroy. It's a time to heal, not hurt. It might be uncomfortable now, but it won't last. Don't worry. Soon God will move. Soon God will move you. Soon and very soon. I just want to give the definitions of liberation and vindication. So liberation is defined as the act of setting someone free from imprisonment, slavery, or oppression. Release. Freedom from limits on thought, behavior, or circumstance. So liberation is here. God is saying he is setting you free. God has spoke over you that you're going to set the captives free. You can't be a captive setting the captives free. God is coming to free you from imprisonment, free you from these bonds, free you from these yokes. I don't really like the definition of vindication, because it's almost as if vindication means one thing in the natural and something different in the spirit. But basically, vindication is being justified. God is going to give you justice. God is going to pay you back. He's going to provide recompense from every tear you cried, every night you tossed and turned. Whenever I think of the word vindication, I always think of Joseph. Genesis 41:51 says, so Joseph is like a perfect example of vindication for me. Genesis 41:51 says, Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh, which means God has made me forget all my trouble in my father's household. The second son he named Ephraim, which means God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering. Those two names are a word all on themselves. Wow. When God vindicates you, you will forget all of your trouble. everything from your past, you will laugh at it. It'll be like, oh, oh yeah, that happened. Yeah, I went through that. It won't be no room for pain. It'll be no room for heartbreak. It'll be no room for hurt. God is blessing you right where you stand. He's blessing you in the midst of your suffering. Not only is he blessing you, but he's making you fruitful. This is the first baby to come with many behind it. God shall make you fruitful. So don't worry. Soon God will move you. Soon God will move on your behalf.